What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are traditional fans with opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. The Elusive Samurai, Chapter 235. So in this one, so Takaji is kind of annoyed with Tokiyuki, Kojiro, and Fubuki for basically trying to escape or whatever. And he thanks Tokiyuki for returning him to his senses, and like he admires his pride. And he says he had hoped that Tokiyuki would face his execution with grace. And basically, it's very dark, so a lot of the people outside, the barricade, whatever, can't see. And then, yeah, so someone's like saying for Takaji to make it brighter so they can all see. And Takaji says that he had wanted to execute him in late afternoon, but since he struggled until sunset, it's too dark for people to see. And so the braziers are lit, and so he sees all the other retainers and Tokyo can see all the retainers like from the distance. He can see all of them. So like yeah, so everyone is there. So like all retainers, all his wives, they're all there. And so Gimba was the one who said for Takaji to make it brighter. And then so Takaji asks for his last words, and Toki says basically mentions that it hadn't rained, that there's been a drought. And then he says, Toki says that the Hojo clan was blameless, and then says he doesn't merit death, but he doesn't. So he said he doesn't agree to either. Basically, that the Hojo clan doesn't deserve death, so he doesn't agree to either seppuku or beheading. And basically said he starts fleeing. Basically, their ropes are cut. Like when they flee, they all try to kill him, but they maneuver well to where they're only the ropes are cut, they're not hit. And yeah, so but there's enough soldiers to prevent their escape. So start fighting, and then yeah, Tokyo says for them to just use the back of their blades so that they don't want to kill anyone. And yeah, so then a fire starts, and Tokyo says that refusing death will break the peace terms. And then Tokyo says if he values Tokyo values his own life over his allies, then treaty will be off. And Kojiro Fubuki, and so Tokiyuki, Kojiro, and Fubuki say that they're keeping the treaty. The treaty just says they have to die. Like in the treaty, the terms say that all that they have to die at the execution grounds. It does not say where it's seppuku, beheading, and then basically, Tokyo says, well, dying at execution usually means by seppuku or beheading. And then Togi says it's against his creed to die willingly, and Hojo pride forbids and take embracing execution. But he says he has an illness of the heart, and so the struggle and it's brought about an attack, and to basically yeah. And since the Ashikaga soldier knocked over some braziers, and it caused a fire with all the dry pine needles, and so yeah, it could be a problem. And then yeah, so and then basically, so Togi realizes that Togi he's gonna fulfill the terms of the treaty, but avoiding suicide or execution. And with it, so basically you have a illness he'll die of an accidental fire. And basically he says he intends to elude Tokyo intends to elude Takaji by dying of either illness or accident. And Takaji thinks that if he dies of an illness, it's less of a problem because he can still claim his head. But if he burns to death, he'll have no proof of death. He'll have no proof that he's actually dead. And then, and yeah, so then all the fights start. So then, yeah, so basically Tokyo tells him to basically keep them away from the tree so that they don't until it spreads up to where it can't be put out. And that Tokyo says he'll spend his final moments fleeing. And so everyone's surprised at how good he is at fleeing. Then he does so he says, "Demon, come this way," to the clapping of my hands, and he gets everyone to join along, to like taunt Takaji. So everyone starts joining in, and so Tokyo in his mind says for him and Takaji to have some fun, and this will be their final game of tag. So yeah, I like this chapter. So obviously, it's not like he's just gonna accept that. This is gonna be like him, I guess, having the little victory over Takaji before he dies. So probably what's gonna be the official story is probably gonna stay as like, yeah, he got beheaded. So I think like he's gonna die from illness. He won't burn to death. I think he'll die from behead. Like he'll die of his illness, and Takaji will cut his head off. But since the terms were fulfilled, he'll like keep the term. He'll keep the treaty. But he'll be annoyed at having Tokiyuki having a victory over him in death. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Liked how they're trying to so it's not gonna be so they're trying to have I guess it be more of a victory for Tokiyuki instead of what actually happens in history, which is he gets captured and beheaded. So yeah, I thought this was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kagurabachi Chapter 109. So in this chapter, so Chihiro's his enchant blade has basically been destroyed. It's like fading out of existence, whatever. And Chihiro, I guess, falls. So, he's down for the count. And Soga tells Samura that he bet on that he made the wrong bet. He says that he'll now fulfill his purpose. And so he heads to So Soga heads to Kaminabi headquarters and starts attacking everyone there. And then yeah, so basically yeah, so the bee from the Magatsumi, it basically it was channeled into the ground and it made a giant hole. Then yeah, so basically Soga tells Izuru that he doesn't believe that everyone was unanimous when in supporting, Kunishige Rokuhiro's choice to seal the enchanted blades, and basically says he wants the names of everyone who was in support. Izuru asks what he'll do with that, and Soga just tells him to watch. Yeah, so basically, yeah, so then everyone they're just trying to figure out how to fight Soga and save as many people as possible. And so Soga uses a malediction attack, and so yeah, so basically how it accelerates, it basically absorbs life force in the area in the surrounding area. and he says he'll purge the Kaminami and take over it, and he'll use the malediction to take over, the nation. And yeah, so a bunch of people start dying, and then yeah, so Samura, like, the malediction starts affecting him, and then yeah, so the sword fades away, and so Samura starts thinking about Chiro, like how he was all that he's done, I guess, since he started his revenge quest, and then like yeah, so and like you see, like, so Soga sees these black flames, and he starts recovering from them, and then he confronts Soga. It looks like he's trying to hold off Soga, I guess, until Chihiro recovers or whatever, or he's gonna try to kill him himself. So yeah, I thought this was a good chapter. Liked how they you know obviously you have Chiro lost his sword, so now like he has to like basically something's gonna happen to where I guess the sword will return, or like some whether its power will be inside. Who knows what'll happen? Chihiro will be back in the fight, I think, at some point. Like it will like I think it's gonna happen. We'll see what happens between Samura and Soga, how that fight will go. That should be a cool fight. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi Chapter 77. So this one, Gaga has gone a lot more powerful since he had just come back from Death's Door and has been able to copy Shun's attacks. So he and Shun continue fighting, and Shun is getting beaten bad. And Gaga says he wants Shun to work for him, and Shun starts remembering his past, where he was like just beating up demons because he was mad about the Maki like killing his parents, like basically for for him being like basically a half breed, and so he doesn't feel like he belongs to Demon World. Then he meets Shishido. He challenges Shishido, loses. Shishido makes him join the Demon Realm Special Forces, as an exorcist. So yeah, so he works for a little bit. He feels like he doesn't fit in the surface world either. And some people, I guess, don't have an issue with the Cambion being within being an exorcist. So then, like, Shuden gets some demons to work with him to attack Shishido, and Shishido beats them all, and he takes Shuden back, and he basically says, if we ask what's their injuries, Shishido says that it was a shark, yeah, and then Shuden realizes that he has found a home, so he starts crying. Then in the present, he tells God he's not a demon or a human, that he's Toji Shuden of the Demon Realm Special Forces, and he says he's not going to join Gaga. So Gaga and Shun each do a final attack, and Gaga wins. And Shun's, accepted that he's probably about to die. He remembers all like his allies, but then the Sosuke comes in, blocks the attack, and he, basically comes in ready to fight Gaga. So it looks like that's gonna be the next big fight. So yeah, I thought this was a good chapter. Liked how they built up Shuden, his past, explain some of his backstory. Obviously, there's some questions about like his background regarding like him being a half breed, like the Maki. I'm interested in all that. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Richie the Witch, chapter 67. So in this one, Chrono Weaver like used his time power to stop like some of the Kizoshi clones, and Kiyoshi's excited, and Chrono Weaver says that he's killed him 575 times, so Kiyoshi should know how much more powerful Chrono Weaver is than him. And Chrono Weaver calls him Octobomb, which I guess is his real name, and I guess his name is Kiyoshi now, so it looks like there's some backstory there. And then they says Kiyoshi says there's something that he's hurt this time, that he's even bleeding. They don't know why. And he said that humans made him weak. And right as he notices he's basically, so Minerva, uh, her water breaks, so she's in labor. So basically the baby's coming, so everyone's like, oh crap. So Jiki Sharon used like a heal light spell to, like, I guess help like alleviate some of the pain. So then like they're trying to figure out how to help the baby, help her give birth while protecting her from Kizoshi. But then this giant monster thing called Pew. Basically, Pew's the littlest of the Kizoshi brothers. So basically, what happens, like, as more of like the Kiyoshi brothers die, his grief explodes. So like it causes him to become more powerful and go berserk. He only has one life, but it took 10 of Kiyoshi's lives to create him, because he has the power of Pew has the power of 10 brothers, and so Pooh, like, impales Gokuraku, and I guess Miriam's like unconscious, and then Chiki Shiron like sees everything. Then so you're saying something that, like, I guess their emotions: overconfidence, carelessness, panic, fear. And she says that a 1 second profound consequence, and she like stabs Minerva. So Pew stabs Minerva, and then it goes back to a flashback of when Chrono Weaver first met Minerva. So it looks like that's going to be the beginning of the. That's so it looks like next chapter is going to like a flashback. Yeah, so what it looks like is that, so Minerva's in labor. She's obviously, the baby's coming, so that's probably weakening Chrono Weaver. So what probably is going to imply, because I've seen something and I agree with this theory, that if that's not a vision, if the whole Minerva getting stabbed, if that's not a vision by Jiki Sharon, if that's not a vision, then it's possible that Chrono Weaver is going to rewind time to help save Minerva and the baby at the cost of his own life. And so the baby could become the new Chrono Weaver. So it's gonna be interesting, kind of like what Sandman did, in the comics, where Daniel became the new Dream of the Endless. Where, like, so yeah, Daniel, like, his mother was half Amazon, half human, because basically, you know, Lila was like the daughter of Wonder Woman and Steve Trevor, and his father was the son of Hawkman and Hawkgirl. So he had some Amazonian blood, some Thanagarian blood, some human blood, and became Dream the Endless. So it looks like it's kind of what they're doing here, where the baby will become, it's part human, part magic, will become the new Chrono Weaver. It looks like that's what they're doing. It's gonna be something like the Endless from Sandman. So that could be interesting. So yeah, I thought this was a good chapter. Liked all the action, liked how, okay, yeah, Kiyoshi's very powerful. Like, looks like there's some backstory about the whole Octobomb thing. That could be interesting. So yeah, that was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Harukaze Mound, chapter 30 and full series. So in this chapter, Hinazakura wins the game 1-0, over Suzanne, and then you see, that, Mei, congratulates, Ibuki and Nagiharu on their win. And then, yeah, then you see like an overview of their other games. So they go through the game, the rest of the tournament. They beat Shizen Gakusha in the finals, and they started getting a bunch of win and made it to Koshin. So the big tournament, and then you have like the third round, and so you have Hinazakura is facing Hosenka, and then so yeah, you see like the announcers talking about the team, about the players, and they mention how the aces are twin brothers, and so you see like it's a pitching duel, like there ain't a lot of hits, so you see like looks like looks like you see like it looks like their their mother so their father shows a picture of shows their mother like a picture of like how Ayakaze saying that they're playing each other in Koshin, and so yeah, so both teams are enjoying the game. There's not really hostility. They're all they're playing well, and basically it's like you don't see a winner. You just see the game. You don't see how the game ends. Uh, So yeah, that's it for the series. So okay, my opinion. This is I would like to see actual who win. I would like to see who wins. That's just me. Like I would like to see who wins. Like that's just just the cliff. I don't know. It may just be a Japan thing. About like that. I mean, I wonder if it's just Japan thing. Like hey, like how the results of the games may not matter much. Like basically, like as far as the story is concerned, and I respect that. Personally, I would like to see the actual results of the game, like of who wins. Like that's just me, just as a sports fan, like as a baseball fan, like I would like to see who wins. That's that was my criticism of Martial Master Asumi, where it just showed the beginning of the fight, that boxing fight, didn't show who actually won between the two brothers. That and this kind of thing, okay, you see part of the actual pitching. I mean, I guess it may be a Suisha thing where they end things very early, and that might be the reason why they end it like that. And fine. And look, if they made an anime for this, I want them to freaking actually finish it, show the full. Now I don't know if it's gonna get an anime, given how early it is, but if they did, I would want them to actually show the full game. Like I don't like the whole cliff. Like there's like the whole like cliff, and overall it's a good chapter. And if this was like there was another chapter, I would like it's kind of like when Mama Yu it basically ended like on cliffhanger right before the final fight happened. And of course, well, yes, there's some bonus chapters in the and add in the volume, which that was a whole thing, yeah. And yeah, so I thought this was a for this, I thought it was a good chapter. I would have liked this not end on like I because the whole thing was, hey, it was you're going to see them play each other in Koshin. Okay, let's see that. Let's actually have a full like multi-chapter game of that. That's what I would want it preferred. 'Cause that's how I guess just to just do like how we have Haikyuu, Blue Lock, Ace of the Diamond, you know Initial D, all the all your big sports manga that went on for a while. I guess with a lot of series in general, especially Suisha, not lasting as long as they used to. I guess they don't have the luxury of doing that, and I get it. Overall, I thought this was a good series. Decent chapter. Would liked it to have more chapters, but oh well. it ended. It wasn't definitely rushed like Over the Flames final chapter. Gosh. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter, good series, you know, if you're a baseball fan, I recommend reading it. Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo Chapter 19. So in this chapter, so you see Dabura and Mahuraga's, fight. Like it's a continuing, like basically like Dabura's thinking about trying to catch up to the war, be more like actual wars, and he's actually starting to enjoy the fight with Mahuraga. It's just due to how he like Maharaga is as a fighter, and he wants to like improve himself. And I guess he thinks the fight with Maharaga will help him with that. And he's thinking about wondering if there's like question. He's wondering if Earth's Jujutsu could actually heal people because they offered like to help heal Marulu and Cross, and that's something that Sumerians don't have that in their jutsu. And he's wondering how in the world curse energy could be used to heal. Of course, you have the answer is the reverse curse technique that Yuta could use. Of course, Yuta's dead, and then he's yeah. So basically, so then all the jutsu swords are talking about with Dabura and Yuka fighting that it's possible that a lot of the cursed spirits in Tokyo will spill out of the city and basically sky around the area. Now, but the issue is not the quality of the curses, it's the amount. And basically, a lot of the curses are above grade 2 would not panic enough to try to run away from Tokyo. But the other one, the low grade ones who would be frightened would be flooding outside Tokyo, so it would be a big problem. That basically sorcerers need to exercise them. In the end, they'll try to adjust the barriers so that they can be directed towards the ocean as much as possible. So in the end, the Sumerians, concern, but like whether or not they're gonna follow the discount rules for duels, that they don't want humans to interfere with Dabura's fight. And so it was like, look, if they want to interrupt Dabura's fight, they ain't gonna be easy. And basically, what was like, if they spot or at least capture them, he doesn't care if they kill them. And then, and one here's like a salt like human saying like the just I guess wants to go to the bathroom and says just piss on the wall. And there's an argument, and then you have the basically they see each other. There's like a confrontation. It's like Earthlings, Sumerians, Earthlings, Sumerians. And it's like, I was like, really? It's gonna be like the plankton crabs, plankton crabs, plankton crabs, plankton crabs. And then you see someone outside, like someone wearing a hood, saying, "Hey, I told him this would happen." And he didn't say it out loud, but and someone's wondering what's going on and seeing the guy in the hood, like recognizing who the guy in the hood is. He's like, uh. Then the guy says piercing blood, and you see this attack going through, like hitting like all of them, hitting everyone inside. Like it looks like it's stopping them from attacking each other. And I was like, what is that? And then guy saw he's like says the guy in the hood's like, oh, is too much? And the guy who sees him is like he's like Yuji Itadori, like he's shocked that it's Yuji. So Yuji is back. So like that changes things. So that like Like that, that changes a lot of things. Like with what's going. I was like, okay, how's that gonna go? Like Yuji being back, 'cause it sounds like he wants to stop the fighting. And yeah, so interesting to see how it goes. So so yeah, we'll see how Yuji gets involved in the fight. And he said he's told them now. My guess is looks like Yuji gave some advice to I guess some of the human sorcerers about the Sumerians. And so and it's interesting Dabra showing some respect for human sorcery. And interesting how Yuji like his power level has gone up. It's like obviously he's gone very powerful. It looks like he like so obviously a lot of his stuff he like his attacks were like basically he would punch with curse injuries around his hands. So that's gonna be interesting how it goes. But yeah, we'll see what happens with Yuji, how he gets involved in the fight. So yeah, I don't know if it means this series is gonna end soon. Like I don't know if it means it's gonna end soon or if, like it's gonna lead to a new arc. But overall, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Gonron Egg Chapter 12. So in this chapter, Gonron and Oma are taken to the Fire Den, which is underground. This is the Human Liberation Army's headquarters. And so basically, it's like the one area. It's like the area of the world that's not under Drakkar control. And so yeah, so Gonron's shocked to see how peaceful things are. They're like basically they're not living like slaves. And then Gonron is like taken towards like the commander, basically the guy who like basically says that there are five commanders that they each have eaten over 100 Jakar hearts, so they're called the 100-hearted. And that he already submitted a report, and that if Gong does anything, he could be executed. And so they're trying to make sure whether or not Garrong is a spy for the Drakarks. So one of the commanders, I guess, I guess introduces himself to them, and he tries to get close to Garrong. He like hugs Garrong, and he says and Garrong's weirded out. He's like, this guy looks terrifying, but he seems kind. And then the guy says that that enmity, treason can affect body odor, and then he wants to see how he wants to see the scent. That those who are really skilled can conceal their body odor, but no one can conceal the taste of treachery from their blood. So it looks like he the guy gets some of Garong's blood and I guess drinks it, and then he says there's no treachery, and it says thanks to Kagami, who's the guy who captured Gonrong, and he says, well, Gonrong's now part of the Human Liberation Army, accepts Gonrong, but not Oma the Egg. And he says allowing Drakark into the ranks will require Supreme Commander's approval, and that no one hates Drakarks more than the leader, and that there have been 12 Drakarks that have been deemed beneficial to humans, but that each time the leader cut off a part of the Drakark's body, like basically has cut and basically each of our leaders cut off part of it, like cut off something in order to as shame for letting them in, and that basically looks like and yeah, so the leader cuts off. I think it sound based on the word. It seems like it's his or her own body part, that the leader cut off. I don't think it's a Dracark body part he was cut like the leader was cutting off. The wording kind of makes it weird, hard to determine what it was meaning. But then you see it looks like it's the leader. I guess a little deranged, talking about how like I guess he or she hates Dracarks. So that's gonna be interesting how and Oma react to the Dracark to that leader. Interesting how that goes. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Liked how you're helping build up the Human Liberation Army. So we'll see more about them. See how that goes. So yeah, I thought this was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. The Mage Next Door, chapter 11. So this chapter, uh, client name, a client comes in, asking for Osagawa, basically. So so it was when Osagawa was doing like some type of yoga while like in the chair while listening to the client's request. And it's funny. So the client asked for Osagawa to go out with her. The reason is because basically now not necessarily. So the client's name is Sakado. Basically, some guy's been hounding her. And, he's a friend, but she wants him to give up trying to date her, and that she believes that if Osagawa pretends to be her boyfriend, that he'll give up. And it's funny. So Osagawa, after I asked what love, like so, and it's actually pretty funny. So the minute he tries to like he tries to ask what it was, but Yobiko says it's like shoving someone against a wall or the floor. I'm like, what? Monet's like, no, just pretend. No, 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 just not that. She's like, she doesn't want any of the other stuff. And so yeah, so basically, so Yobiko and Mini Magus like follow them. So it's actually kind of funny. The whole so Osagawa has a shirt that says dating. I guess he thought it would help sell it. Then he does some magic to update his look, and he says, and Molly's like, "Oh, just a magic trick? Okay." He's like, "Wait, that was too impossible to be a magic trick." Yeah. And so Yogo's shocked that even though Oscar usually would use his free time to sleep, like he hasn't been on a date, I guess, in like 300 years. So she thought he would be bad, but then he actually acts, I guess, unwillingly is actually good at it. So she's like, "What? He actually might not be. He actually might be fine." Like it's actually kind of funny. And so yeah, yeah. So it's funny how it's like it's looking more romantic, I guess, than it's supposed to be. So Yobiko is like kind of shocked, and then yeah. So but yeah. So Yobiko's concerned that if they actually do start dating, that it could interfere with the mission. Yeah. So wondering where, and so they go to I guess this place called the Makiba coffee shop. I guess where the guy is supposed to be. The guy's name is Kaido. And so basically he's a seventh grader. Yeah, so he's a seventh grader. Now, I don't know how old Monet is. The most is that Osagawa is like his is her boyfriend, so they can't date. So she can't date Kaido. Kaido's like, I don't care. He's like he doesn't care. Basically, he still wants to date. And she's like, oh crap. And so she said that they're neighbors, so they hung out, but he's been very moody. And then Oscar senses like magic. He says he's magic drunk. So she does some magic to turn him back to his normal self. And so it looks like that, it fixes some of his personality. And so yeah. So it looks like that Kaido like had some issues, so like he looks like he's recovering, he's kind of embarrassed by everything. And so Bonnie like tries to cheer up, so she was happy when he said he liked her. But that she says she wants to stay friends, but if he feels same way when he's older, this for him to say it to her again. He's like, okay, he's still embarrassed. And then, so Oscar says that, he has a clue to another, that was a clue to another mage. And then looks like, so Osagawa and Yobiko infiltrate, Jogasaki second public middle school, I guess as teachers, I guess to find a mage. So it looks like there's a mage that I guess, caused Kaido's magic drunkenness. So that's gonna be interesting how that goes. Like someone's going after middle schoolers. Okay. Well, yeah, one of the ways to cause problems to go after, the youth are the next generation. Manipulating them unfortunately causes a lot of problems. But we'll see how this goes. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kunon the Sorcerer can see episode 5. So in this episode, so Kunon arrives, at Mirika's, residence to take her on, first date outside the castle. And then, he says so many compliments that all the servants are wondering, he's just a flatterer, but Miriko likes it. And just a bunch of very random compliments. They're like, what the heck? So Kunon gets his new magic teacher. It's real to be Xionli. So Xionli, you know, like Finral is like regarded as one of the best sorcerers in the kingdom. Iko's excited because Xionli's rumored to be very handsome. That basically apparently all the women in the kingdom know who he is. And so, and what's it is so funny. So yeah, so Raisha and Mirka are walking through the hallway. They're picked on by Everil and Lidalia. Raisha's annoyed because she wanted to be Kunon's teacher, says Xionli. Basically, everyone wanted to be Kunon's teacher, all the ones who saw him. And so Everil, little Lidalia, they're like two of the other princesses, whatever. They mock Kunon for being scolded by Darien 3 times. And so Mirka goes with Xionli for him to lead the castle to teach Kunon as a way since royal permission's needed. So Kunon senses Xionli's magic, and since he's very obviously the most powerful royal sorcerer, and so Xionli considers Kunon to be a brat. He doesn't like that he was asked to teach Kunon. To test Kunon, Xionli makes a stone wall and asks Kunon to destroy it with magic. And Xionli mentions that Kunon, he heard about Kunon's water bed, so Kunon makes it. Xionli touches it, immediately likes it, and he just falls asleep for 2 hours. So Kunon examines the wall, realizing how to destroy it, and he decides to wait till Xionli wakes up. When Xionli wakes up, he uses a spell Kunon used a spell that he invented to help wash clothes to soak the wall past its absorption point and causes it to collapse. And Xionli's impressed by what he does, but when warns Mirika, like he's annoyed by Mirika and Kunon's like flirtations, like they're how they're like he's annoyed. He tells Mirika that you know Kunon's gonna be very important to him. That basically his stats will probably rise due to how powerful sorcery can be, and that basically a lot of women will be after him, and that basically that she must improve herself to like continue to stand beside him, or basically he basically like her their engagement will be annulled and he'll probably be forced to marry someone else. And Kunon annoyed doesn't didn't like what he said to Mirika. He says that Zion he asked Zion to not be mean to Mirika. He's like Zion is probably the guy to bully women to say mean things to women he likes, and but is gets surprised whenever they choose someone else. It sounds like it hit the way the visualization, but it's like the arrows piercing. So it's like, oh, that's actually accurate. And it's funny you see Ika there, like whenever she sees like her reaction to seeing Zhongli's all showing her head, like basically she's very excited to me, but she keeps a calm face. It's so funny. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Interesting, like Zhongli interacting with Kunon, and you have Iko's reaction to Zhongli. And so obviously it looks like they're handing some stuff could pick up with looks like what will probably happen is like so my guess is some other princes will probably try to get with Kunon. That might be what's hinted at might happen. So yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. I thought this was a you know good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Kaichan isn't scary, episode 3. So in this episode, so in Kaya's class, everyone's missing the black crayon. It's odd. Like all teachers, like, why the heck? Where are all the black crayons? Why is? And so it's revealed that Yuzu's little brother Khan has taken all the black crayons to scribble on the mirror. Basically, keep saying the mirror is scary, and and Mel tells Chi that Condor is a troublemaker like Kaya, so it hints at, and Khan keeps saying scary, and people are like, what's so scary about a mirror? So it's heavily implied that Khan has psychic powers like Kaya. Now, or not, it's actually psychic powers, or it's like the thing where, so like basically, there's a whole thing that a lot of people believe that really little ones like babies, toddlers, and all that, like they can be more, I guess, spiritually aware. Like there's some beliefs like basically like little kids, puppies, whatever, they can sense evil presences more than like older kids and adults can. So whether or not he actually is a psychic or it's just a case of kid being able to sense something evil, who knows? And so it's like, so basically with that is like, okay, yeah, the mirror is evil. And so Mel like tries to clean the. Basically, Mel tells the other students that she's gonna scold Conlair, and all the other dudes like, oh, she probably shouldn't wear it like that. And one of the head dudes like says that she'll talk to her later. So Mel like starts trying to clean the takes herself to clean the mirror. Che remembering like that Colin seems to have some similarities to Kaya. I guess Kaya's there, so she asks Mel if she'll be okay. Mel's like, oh, she's fine. She's like that Che's on the clock, so it's whatever. So she goes there. She wipes part of the black crayon stuff off, and she sees like something in there. She's like, what? And she screams, and something grabs her. And Kaya and Che run in there. Kaya hits something back into the mirror, and Mel's all basically Jay has a Mel, so Mel's alright, but so the writing on her apron has reversed, so it's backwards, and her personality is a lot more, I guess, kinder. So it's implied that she might actually be trapped inside the real one might be trapped inside the mirror. Now that looks like based on the preview, that's for the next episode to figure out. But later, Kaya's class goes to a pool. Kaya sees some ghost whatever in the pool, so she doesn't want to go in. Now, so the teachers, so all the kids, they're all in their Bane suits. Now, Kaya's is like it's like a jumpsuit, so it's not like I guess she basically well, like I guess Yuzu and Saku asked why basically Kaya doesn't want to get a tan. She's very pale, whatever. And you have Ken, one of the kids, like messing around, makes fun of Kaya's like swimsuit. And basically, so Kaya, like, I don't know if she actually can't swim or if she said, so she on the side, so like, Che asked what's wrong, Kaya says she doesn't like pool, so she's like, oh, if you want to go in, it's fine. So Kaya's in there, she sees, so she's giving, Kaya's giving a kickboard, I guess to help, I guess play around, and, one of the kids, Ken, so the spirit, he accidentally bumps it, so he like, oh, sorry. And he looks back, he sees nothing, he's like, there was someone there. But then he gets dragged down. And there's like an overview saying, child drownings are unnoticed because the sound of splashing can cause like a lot of people not notice that there's a kid drowning. And so it's too late. So Kaya takes the kickboard, swims, dives under, grabs Ken, beats up the ghost, and pulls him back up. And so all the teachers are like, scold Ken and Kaya, say, hey, when you're doing, what you're doing, you could have drowned. So they're both told to get out of the pool. Ken pulls the kickboard Kaya towards the edge, and he thanks Kaya for saving her. And he apologizes for being mean. And so yeah, that's really it. So yeah, so I thought it was a good episode. It is funny. So Saku like keeps asking Kaya if she should beat up Ken. Like I was like, it's like, is she really about to throw hands for Kaya? Like what the frick? And like that bit was funny. And so yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens next week. So nothing happens later is so you have Mobu, so the fat guy from last week who Che thought was a stalker. So Mobu meets with Che and basically he says he's gonna come by every day until she agrees to meet with him. So Che's like decides to like just talk. So it's really he had wiretapped the school to repay Kaya for what. So he explains his backstory. So his daughter, so basically 4 years ago, his daughter like got hit by a car and died. But he was able to see her spirit. And he would talk with the spirit. His wife who couldn't see it thought he was just crazy, couldn't move on from the grief of his daughter dying, and it looked like it caused some problems with their marriage. And he would go by the playground every day with let the spirit of Kyoko like play on the playground. Now a lot of adults saw him. They thought he was just creepy. I mean, they couldn't do anything because like he wasn't like I guess trying to talk to any of the kids who were well alive, not spirits. So basically like they couldn't do it. So they couldn't do anything to him. So the Kyoga spirit starts forming. It turns like starts like a specter, like a monster, and tries to drag him somewhere, and then asks for the Kyoga's mother to be taken to, and Mobu knows that something's wrong. He's like, to just take me, don't take your mother. Then a 1 year old Kaya rarely comes in, like beats up the spirit, and like Kaya's father says, "Oh, sorry." Hey, he's like, "Oh, Kaya just started walking. Yeah, sorry about that." He's like, "Oh, tell the nice man bye, bye, bye." And so Mobu says he explains it, and he says he hadn't known what really happened to Kaya since then until he heard rumors about a house, about this like a scary house, and he learned, and he just investigate. Basically, at work, he's started working as a cult journalist, and he investigated, learned that the house with the I guess that was believed to be haunted by somebody was Kaya's house, and that there is something inside of it. Like there is something inside of that like that house. So that's going to be interesting. So yeah, I thought this was a good episode. I like how they're building up the mystery about what's the deal with Kaya's mother, what's the deal with the house. Like what is it? Obviously something very powerful is in there. And yeah, so it's gonna be interesting to see what happens. And obviously it looks like next episode they're gonna deal with the whole thing with Mel Sensei. That should be interesting. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Oedo Fire Slayer: The Legend of Phoenix, Episode 3. So in this episode, this focuses on, you know, Matsunaga trying to recruit, Hyoka to his team of firefighters. So basically, so it's revealed. So they meet. So Matsunaga and like his team try to they meet Hyoka's like childhood friend, and who was like this one girl he was into, but like she married like someone else, but he'd still like care for her and try to help save her from like some debt collectors, and he became target. Matsunaga offers to help, and then help Hyoka, but then there's like rumor there's like a fire, basically like so the girl had gotten argument with the debt collectors. She tried to burn the contract or whatever, and so the fight started to cause a fire. It was an accident, but she was accused of arson. So Hyoka, they stopped the fire and save her, and then so she's banned. Even though it's not arson, but due to her role in the fire, she is expected to be banished from Edo. Then Hyoka like joins Matsunaga's group. So yeah, that's gonna be. So yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Like how they introduced Hyoka, like how they dealt with like also the debt collectors and everything. That was a good episode. That was written very well. So yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Hell's Paradise season 2 episode 3. So in this episode, Gabimaru and his group they train, try to figure out how to I guess get better at using Tao without I guess basically getting too attached to it without they start turning to plant type things or whatever, turning to tan, and then and then May is asked to explain stuff about the Tensen since she has very similar powers. And while this is going, obviously Chobe is captured by Rian, and so Rian tries to do the Bochu Jutsu with Aze, which basically in essence Rian wants to have sex with Aze, and so now Rian had fought Aze in male form, but tries to seduce Aze in female form. And Ozzy asked Rian to explain what the island is. So you see both Rian and May explain. So May was attacked by Rian, and and basically, so the other Tensid also so basically the elixir life is made using human life force, and it's basically it's in production. It's trying to make immortality, it's trying to create a perfect being. And so basically a monk from I guess centuries ago, like from China, tried to came to the island to try to do it, try and make it. And you see so Aze agrees to perform Bojujutsu with Rien, and then basically so May explains the tree. So Hoko, who had been raising um have been raising May, basically who's basically been turning tree. And May starts turning to a tree-like thing. Hoko offers his Tao to help May, since May, being a had the power of tension, could use basically could be used could drain Tao, whatever. But May doesn't want to. But Hoko says he basically is gonna become a tree anyway. That basically his wife and daughter were returned to trees. They're gone. And that when he came across May, he had raised her, but he kept seeing his own daughter within May because they were around the same age. Because May was in her when May was in her little kid form, and basically Hoko apologized for basically trying to make a pretend family with her. And May says, whatever circumstances were, they were a real father and daughter. So it looks like May's gonna absorb his Tao and recover some. So yeah, that I thought it was a very good episode. Obviously, they're gradually building up the character, they having them train more. Um, like they're trying to train more, prepare to fight the Tensen. Looks like some of the other some they and the other looks like some other samurai and crooks are coming in, so that should be interesting. See how that goes. Like the actual the actual thing's gonna so yeah, this is gonna be interesting how this builds up. So yeah, I thought this was a very good episode. Things are gonna go down fight. So interesting what happens to Aze, like what happens with him, if he joins the Tenzin, probably see what happens there. So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Under Doctor Chapter 1. So this is a new manga that just started with Suisha. So in this one, you have there's a plane flying in the air. You see looks like the main character sleeping, and then some guys having food poisoning, and the doctor doctor arrives to help examine him. He diagnoses food poisoning, and he says basically, so the main character wakes up, hears everything, but then and yeah, so the doctor, whose name is Ishiguro, he's from Mikage Medical University Tokyo, so he's a very well-known doctor. He asked the sick guy about what's going on, and then Ishiguro recommends that they land in Tokyo, that they should before they have so much time up, before they could ride to, they should just turn around. He says it's not his the guy's life's not in danger, but if they force him to deal with the pain over 6 hours, he will be weakened, and that they should take him to a proper hospital. And the guy says he works overseas, so he never gets to see his daughter, and he wants to be able to see his daughter. And so then the main character comes in. We don't know his name, and he introduces himself as a doctor. He wants to examine. and he asks to take a look. Ishiguro says it's fine. Yeah, he has a mind. So thanks. And he asks the guy if he could take his if the guy could take his shirt off, and he presses a button, tells the guy to breathe in. And the guy says he's definitely has some food poisoning. He ingested some stimulant within 2 hours since he got on the plane. And he says he's hitting some acupoints specific to his condition, so that he could slow down the stimulant and alleviate the pain. And the guy, like, his pain's going away, and Ishiguro checks the pulse. He's shocked at how normal the pulse is. And so the main guy's what character's wondering how could he could get food poisoning if he only just ingested water. And so it's implied that he may have been poisoned. And so the flight attendant asked if the guy's okay. He says no. He's only just eliminated the plane temporarily. That he'll need to go proper care in the hospital, but he'll be able to make it to Tokyo. And Ichiro's shocked at like how like he was able to he doesn't know how accurate he was. He's like, this guy's freaking awesome. And Ishiguro bows towards the guy and asked to teach him like he's ever seen him do that well at being a doc at being at diagnosing, treating something. He asks how he was able to do it. The guy's like, all right. And he says he could, basically, the guy says he could see weak points in the body. He's like, what? And he says light. He says since he was born, he could see lights emanate from, weak points on their bodies. And that allowed to like use acupuncture to like, basically like where like from wounds, diseases, and that there's like a different color, like different lighting for them. And so he basically says he uses that to help figure out how to treat illnesses and wounds, and that he could diagnose. And that he says it took him 6 years to guess just from looking at the light, and another six to be as accurate as he is now. And Ishiro says, oh, he thanks him for becoming the doctor. He's like, wow, it didn't take much to convince you, did I? And Ishiro says, well, it is hard to believe, but he says it's a failed doctor. He wants to believe that as seamless could be all it takes to treat symptoms. And so the main guy introduced himself as Haiji Kino, and so Ishiguro introduces his full name Makoto Ishiguro, and he says he's a director of Mikade University Hospital Tokyo. And Haiji's like, wait, what? And so he recognizes Ishiguro's name. He's like, oh, he's like, so it looks like Ishiguro has a lot. Haiji has a lot of respect for Ishiguro. And he said he apologized for not knowing his face. And so real Ishiguro is like a leading expert on artificial cell research. So Ishiguro asks Haiji what he specializes in. Haiji says surgery. And he asks who taught him about that, and the Marines, everything, since how familiar is with all of it. And Haiji says, well, his eyes let him see where you know, what's, where the illness or wound is at. But he says when it comes to acupressure, he's self-taught. And then but it agrees that the only question is how he got food poisoning. Then some guys with guns appear, ask them what they're doing, and looks like the guy fires a gun. So the plane's been hijacked, and the cops are talking about how to deal with it, and that the hijackers want 20 billion in yen, and then basically if they don't get the money, they'll crash the plane in Tokyo. So Haiji had taken Ishiguro, I guess, down on like in the cargo hold, and Ishiguro's been hit. Haiji was able to, I guess, deflect the not get hit. And so Haiji says the football is probably something the hijackers did to cause chaos in the cabin. And then like Israel asks asks if they shot Haiji. Haiji says that his suit's bulletproof. Israel says, okay, he has some more questions for him now. So Haiji explains that Israel has two gunshot wounds. His organs are safe, but his veins are damaged, and the bleeding's not going to stop. And he says he'll have to remove both bullets, and he asks to operate on him. And he says that he has all the tools he'll need to do this surgery, and that he's done multiple midi bullet extractions in the past. And so Ichiro says estimates 90 minutes for him to be able to do all that, but like it would be too. He thinks it'd be too long for him to be able to do it. And he tells Haiji to escape, do whatever he can to escape on his own. And then says he shouldn't waste time on an old guy like him. And then yeah, and then Haiji says basically he says that Ishiguro is his patient. He wasn't asking whether like he should ban. He is asking if Haiji says he was asking if Ishiguro wants to live or die. He asked if there's any regrets if he died there. So Ishiguro like reminisces on his life, and then yeah, and then he says he thinks about it. And he says he still has some patients waiting for him that he can't die yet. And so Haiji says that's why they doctors exist. So Ishiguro starts crying, and so yeah, so then basically, so you see some people praying, wondering who to save them, like, and yeah, so Haiji then appears behind some of the hijackers, starts beating them up. So Ishiguro is shown recovered. It's shown that basically the surgery had only been he finished in only 58 minutes, so 32 minutes quicker than he had estimated. He wonders who Haiji is. And so Haiji goes. He beats up the hijackers, and he had deflected the bullets into the ceiling. And he uses acupressure techniques to like knock him out. He doesn't kill them, but he has knocks him out. So he remembers his past. So I guess his father was wanting him to use his ability to be an assassin, and then yes, and basically instead of like using it to be like for medicine. So Haiji says that he wanted to use his power to help people, and then says he's like a killing one. So he like everyone starts asking what he do. Like they're all cheering. So and then yeah, so he asks if the flight is a minute. So yeah, so he starts beating up all the and then yeah, so basically all the passengers are fighting back. So and so basically the leader of the hive says that all they gotta do is shoot whoever's being the hero, and then basically so Haiji confronts the leader after knocking out the other hijackers, and basically he like does all these like hits like all these acupoints, all these vowel points, and he starts hitting all these and like he just wrecks this guy hitting at all these different like acupressure techniques, and then basically yeah. So he beats all the hijackers, and then he has the door open. He's gonna ask what he's doing. He says Haiji says he's borrowing a parachute. He doesn't want anyone to ask him some detailed questions that took it, so he's gonna disappear. And then Israel asks them if they'll see each other again. Haiji says definitely. So someone asks Israel where the doctor with the glasses went. So Haiji, and he asks he says he's long gone. And so looks like Haiji talks to someone on the phone, and basically, so whoever he's talking to says that he stuck his nose into something, and that basically whoever he or she is has to clean up after Haiji. And Haiji falls asleep while he's parachuting down. And then yeah, so it's gonna be interesting. So yeah, I don't know. So whoever this character is, whoever Haiji's role is, looks like he's some underworld like looks like he's so obviously he's a doctor, probably operates in the criminal underworld. Looks like so that should be interesting. Like who is he talking on the phone with? I don't know. That should be revealed next chapter. I thought it was a very good chapter, very good way to introduce the series. I don't know if Ishiguro is going to be a recurring character throughout this series. Like, who knows? Or is this just a one-off? Like, who knows? Like how what his role will be. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking for the next one. And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.